Tell me about the pregnancy. How did you guys find out, and what did they say about that?
Whether she just found out she was pregnant.
Yes.
Oh, she called us and told us
Okay.
that she was pregnant again. And it's something that, with her health, she had problems with Bella, she had problems with Celeste, and we were worried about her health.
Hmm.
Now, I understand you want to try to have a boy, but we're worried about your health before you have another baby. And they were trying, from what we were told, they were trying to have another baby. And then when she was pregnant, she had, she every time she was pregnant, she did something big for Chris. This surprise, go upstairs and read this, and she had shirts made for everybody. Said, we're expecting again or something like that. It said, and he came walking in the house because she had on video. She's got to have 6,000 videos and pictures on her phone. And you see him come in. He was all excited and everything else, and I don't know. And then that Monday when she came back, she told Chris had told us that she had a sealed letter. So he told her, I didn't. This was enough because we kept asking Shannon, "What is it? What is it?" "I don't know yet, Dad. I don't know yet." And we know she went to the doctor before she left. She said, I don't know. I don't know." And then he said that she had a sealed envelope or a sealed letter from the doctor's office telling them what the sex was of the baby. So I never got to see that from her.
So who prompted the having a third child? Was that her idea, or was he pushing for it? Do you know?
They were trying to have a boy. He wanted to have a boy.
Okay.
Even though Celeste was a tomboy.
Yeah.
She was a...
When was the last time you talked to Shannon?
Before she left. I can look at my phone and tell you exactly.
Before she left for
Arizona.
Okay.
And then I just texted her, told her have a safe trip back, and
How often would you talk to her?
every day.
Every day?
Every day we'd FaceTime. And didn't miss a day. If I missed a day, I was going crazy without seeing them kids.
But that's when she was at home? Is that what you said
I
earlier?
FaceTimed them even when Chris was there. So if she wasn't there, I still FaceTimed.
Okay.
Yeah, I FaceTimed almost every night unless I got home late from work and the babies were sleeping.
The morning sun had barely touched the Colorado plains when search crews stopped in their tracks. In the silence of an open oil field, miles from any home, any passerby, any chance witness, they uncovered what investigators would later call one of the most haunting scenes in recent memory. A shallow grave, so carelessly carved into the hard earth, held the remains of a woman who had vanished just days before. Nearby, two looming oil tanks stood like silent sentinels, each holding an even darker secret within their steel walls. The stillness of the air seemed to recoil, as if the land itself understood the weight of what had happened there. The workers who had guided authorities to this desolate spot watched in horror as the truth began to surface. They had seen unusual disturbances in the dirt. They had caught the faint, unnatural scent on the wind. And now, they were witnessing the unthinkable. The officers didn't speak. They didn't need to. Their faces said everything. This was where the search for Shannon Watts, and her children, came to an end. But this was only the beginning of unraveling a horror that would grip the nation. A horror orchestrated by someone who was supposed to love them. Someone who had stood before cameras days earlier, pleading for their safe return. Someone who now silently watched as the world closed in. And yet, as devastating as this discovery was, it wasn't the last secret he tried to bury. Because long after he was locked away, sealed behind concrete and steel, something unexpected leaked out of the darkness, his prison letters. And inside them, the truth he never meant for anyone to see. Before we continue, remember to like, share, and subscribe to The Hidden Verdict, so more people can uncover the stories others try to hide. Long before the headlines, before the grainy body cam footage and the chilling courtroom photos, the Watts family appeared to be the picture of suburban stability. Their home in Frederick, Colorado sat neatly at the end of a quiet street, its tan exterior blending in with identical houses built for quiet lives and predictable routines. Inside lived a woman full of ambition and optimism, a man who seemed steady and soft-spoken, and two little girls whose laughter filled every room. Shannon Watts was a powerhouse of determination. She recorded her life tirelessly, sharing moments of joy, vulnerability, and hope with an online community that admired her resilience. After years of health struggles, she built a lifestyle she was proud of, one centered on her children, her goals, and a marriage she believed was strengthened by adversity rather than threatened by it. She was excited about the future, excited about the baby boy she carried, and full of plans for what came next. Chris Watts, by contrast, appeared calm, almost quiet to the point of invisibility. To neighbors, he was the polite man next door who waved during yard work. To friends, he was a soft-spoken father who lifted his daughters onto his shoulders with a tenderness that seemed effortless. He did not stand out, and he did not want to. He lived in the spaces between Shannon's vibrant energy, the steady presence behind her videos, the silent partner in her dreams. But every perfect picture has shadows. Behind closed doors, finances were strained. Communication frayed. Their relationship, once built on effort and survival, had begun to bend under pressure neither fully spoke aloud. And in those cracks, quiet at first, then widening, something darker began to take shape. As we continue this investigation, remember to subscribe to The Hidden Verdict, and like and share so others can follow the truth buried beneath the surface. The red flags didn't burst into view all at once. They came quietly, almost politely, slipping into the rhythm of daily life until they became impossible to ignore. Friends noticed the change first, subtle shifts in tone, small fractures in what had once looked like a united family. Shannon, normally expressive and confident, began to sound uncertain in private conversations. She worried that Chris was drifting away, becoming distant, unreachable behind a calm mask he refused to take off. During a summer trip to North Carolina, the distance widened into something unmistakable. Chris barely touched her. His silence cut deeper than any argument could. He worked out obsessively, sculpting his frame with a sudden urgency that didn't match his usual routine. He guarded his phone with an intensity that spoke louder than words, tapping out messages late at night, screen tilted away from curious eyes. Shannon tried to rationalize it, tried to convince herself it was stress, exhaustion, or anything other than what she feared. But emotional gaps have a way of pulling other truths to the surface. Chris was living two lives, one inside the home he shared with his family, and another behind secret calls, covert meetings, and a carefully constructed facade. There was a lightness to him now, a sudden burst of confidence that didn't come from his marriage or his children. It came from a place he wasn't ready to admit existed. And while Shannon confided her fears to those she trusted, Chris sank deeper into his deception, weaving it so tightly around himself that he believed no one would see through it. The danger wasn't just in his lies. It was in how comfortable he had become telling them. As this story unravels further, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to The Hidden Verdict, so more people can uncover the warning signs so often ignored. It happened in the quiet hours before dawn, when the neighborhood slept under a blanket of stillness and not even the streetlights seemed fully awake. Inside the Watts home, the walls bore witness to a moment that would forever fracture the illusion of normalcy that had clung to this family. What unfolded was not sudden rage or a storm of chaos, but a cold, controlled decision, one that would end 4 lives and scar countless others. Accounts from investigators paint a scene almost too chilling to comprehend. What began as a confrontation between Shannon and Chris spiraled into an irreversible act. She had returned home from a work trip just hours earlier, exhausted but relieved to be back with her family. She believed the worst between them could still be repaired. She believed he was still the man she had fought for. She had no idea the plan he had already made in the silence of his own mind. What occurred next in that dark bedroom was swift. The struggle was brief. And by the time the first hint of morning crept across the sky, Shanann's life had been stolen by the person she trusted most. But the horror didn't stop there. Two little girls, barely old enough to understand fear, were taken from their beds and carried out into the pre-dawn cold. Their innocence, their confusion, their small hands reaching for answers that would never come, those moments would echo through the investigation like a scream that never faded. When Chris loaded his family into his truck and drove toward the distant oil site, the world still believed they were safe at home. He had crafted a story in his mind, convinced he could bury not just the bodies, but the truth itself. As we move deeper into this case, remember to like, share, and subscribe to The Hidden Verdict, helping shine light on the truths some try desperately to hide. In the hours after the crime, Chris Watts moved with a chilling calmness that investigators would later describe as mechanical. As dawn broke, he drove back from the oil site with empty seats behind him and an emptier house waiting for his return. He showered. He changed clothes. He texted Shanann's phone, knowing she'd never answer. Every movement was deliberate, each one part of a script he believed he could sell to the world. But lies rarely survive daylight. By mid-morning, Shanann's friend grew worried. Messages went unread. Calls went straight to voicemail. A doctor's appointment, one she would never miss, came and went without her. And when that friend finally dialed 911, she unknowingly set in motion one of the most scrutinized investigations in true crime history. Police body cam footage captured Chris in those first crucial moments. His voice steady. His posture relaxed. His eyes darting just enough to betray the storm beneath the surface. He offered theories, timelines, explanations, none of them convincing. Officers noted how he paced, how he avoided certain questions, how his words felt rehearsed. Then came the digital breadcrumbs. His phone records. His work GPS data. Surveillance cameras. The neighbor's security footage showing him backing his truck into the garage at an odd hour. And later that day, a neighbor whispered to an officer, out of Chris's earshot, that something about his behavior was off. Very off. By the time investigators pulled his text messages, uncovered his affair, and compared his shifting stories, the facade had already begun to crumble. The cover-up he thought would hold had left a trail so clear, it almost seemed accidental. As this unraveling continues, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to The Hidden Verdict, helping more people piece together the truths hidden in the shadows. The courtroom sat in a heavy stillness as Chris Watts was led inside, a bulletproof vest strapped across his chest and shackles echoing softly against the tile floor. Reporters filled every bench, their eyes fixed on a man who had once appeared ordinary, now revealed as something far more chilling. Family members braced themselves, fighting to steady their breaths as they prepared to face the details of a crime too dark to fully comprehend. Even the judge seemed weighed down, his expression carved with disbelief at the brutality of the case. But the trial the world expected never arrived. Instead, Chris chose to plead guilty to every charge, 5 counts of first-degree murder, tampering with the bodies, and the unlawful termination of Shanann's pregnancy. In a single moment, the courtroom exhaled, realizing there would be no testimony, no cross-examination, no opportunity for him to twist the truth. The silence that followed felt sharper than any confession he could have spoken. When the judge delivered his decision, his voice carried an unmistakable tremor. He condemned the acts as among the most inhumane he had ever encountered, then sentenced Chris Watts to multiple life terms without the possibility of parole. It was a mathematical certainty that he would die behind bars. Yet the story refused to end there. From inside his cell, Chris began writing letters, long, conflicted, unsettling accounts that leaked into the public and reignited questions about what truly happened. Within those pages, buried between contradictions and emotional spirals, lay fragments of a truth he had never spoken aloud. And now the question falls to you: do you believe Chris whatever told the full story? If this case gripped you, remember to like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications for the hidden verdict. Your voice matters in uncovering hidden truths.